So, can you shoot 45 Colt+P in a Ruger new Vaquero? Well, that really depends on what you mean by +P. Howdy folks, welcome back to Roughshod Outdoors. So, a big topic that gets a lot of people confused and sometimes hostily, upset. I don't know if that's quite the way to say that, but I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm crazy for loading +P 45 Colt in a Ruger new Vaquero. But the question is, can you shoot 45 Colt +P in the Ruger new Vaquero? No, but yes. Now, what I mean by that is the Ruger new Vaquero here, this is in 45 Colt, is built on the medium frame or 357 Magnum frame. Ruger makes 3 frame sizes in their single actions. They have the small frame, which would be like a single 6, 22 mag, 32 H&R, 327 Federal Magnum. The medium frame, which is this, which is closer to the Colt and Colt clones. 357 Magnum frame. It's chambered in 45 Colt, but it's built on the medium frame. And then they make the large frame, 44 Magnum size frame. It's a little bit longer, chamber's a little longer. It's a little taller. It has to be because the chamber's bigger around. Now, a lot of people get... this is where it gets confusing. When I say no, you cannot shoot 45 Colt +P in the Ruger new Vaquero, by that I mean if you were to go order online, or if you could find it in the store, say Buffalo Bore or Underwood Grizzly cartridge, I believe HSM, they make 45 Colt +P. That stuff you cannot shoot in the new Vaquero. Don't even try. I don't know on some of the other boutique makers, but Buffalo Bore purposely makes those cartridges too long to function in the new Vaquero because they will cause a catastrophic failure. They will blow up the cylinder. He seats the bullets out far enough so that the cylinder won't turn. The bullet is seated out far enough. It sticks out the mouth of the chamber. It'll hit the forcing cone. If you go on Buffalo Bore Outdoors and watch some of Tim Sundles has got some stories about people pounding the bullets down in, and it's kind of confusing because it's amazing how many even salesmen will tell you that you can shoot +P in the Ruger new Vaquero 45 Colt, but The stuff you buy, no, you can't. On the other hand, I shoot +P hand loads in this 45 Colt, new Vaquero. The problem I have when people say +P, 45 Colt +P, is there is no standard as to what that +P is. Now, if you take 9mm Luger, for example, standard pressure for a 9mm is 35,000 PSI. Now, 9mm +P is standardized by STAMI as 37,500 PSI. There is such a thing as +P+. That is not standardized. That's over 38,000, I believe. 45 ACP. Standard STAMI pressure for standard 45 ACP is 21,000 PSI. 45 ACP +P is standardized at 23,000 PSI. So when we're talking +P in the 45 ACP or the 9mm, we have a standard as to what that is. There is no standard of what +P is in 45 Colt. So the boutique ammo makers, I call them boutique because they're kind of specialized. Like Buffalo Bore, Underwood, Grizzly Cartridge, HSM. What they are running as what they call 45 Colt +P is running over 30,000 PSI. That will blow up a new Vaquero. Now, the only standard of 45 Colt is 14,000 PSI. These two on the end here, well, three, I guess. There's two Hornady loads, and then this is, I believe this is, I think they're 180s. 180 grain, like lever evolution. This is a critical defense. They're 180 grain bullets, moving at about 900, depending on your barrel length, 800 to 950 feet a second. That's a really light bullet, not traveling fast at all. This here right in the middle, that is a Federal 225 grain jacketed soft point. That's going 850 feet a second. 225 grain bullet going 850 feet a second. This is why 45 Colt gets such a reputation as being a weak round. Now, the reason 45 Colt, well, let me back up a second on pressure wise. 44 Magnum standard chamber pressure is 37,000 PSI. 45 Colt, which is actually technically 2 calibers bigger. This is a 0.452 bullet. 44 Magnum is actually 0.429, so it's more like a 43. But that's a subject for another time. But why? So why is 45 Colt way down here at 14,000 PSI? Okay, well, the reason is you can take this Federal factory load, 14,000 PSI load. You can take a Colt that was made in 1875, and there's going to be people that are going to jump all over me for this. No, that was designed for black powder. You can't shoot smokeless powder loads. Yes, you can. That is why 45 Colt is factory loaded at such a low pressure. Is because somebody might come along and, oh, I have this Colt, I'm gonna buy some shells for it. They don't know when it was made. Say it was made in 1875, before the advent of smokeless powder. They put a 225 grain Federal. It's loaded that light so it doesn't blow up that gun from 1875. You can argue with me and say that that's not true, but it is. That is why 45 Colt is loaded so light, is so that if it ends up in an antique, you're not going to blow it up. Now, if you know it's from 1875, is it going to hurt the collector value if you shoot factory standard ammo? Yeah, probably. Is it going to blow it up? No, it's not going to. Actually, interestingly enough, 4570 factory loaded ammunition at the standard pressure can safely be fired in trapdoor Springfields. That's the reason it's loaded as light as it is. But I'm getting off track here. So now we're moving into, this is where being a hand loader is almost a necessity if you have a 45 Colt Ruger New Vaquero. Now, these, I'm going to put these off to the side. I personally don't know anyone that's ever taken anything with 45 Colt lever revolution. But say this 225 grain moving at 850 feet a second, not really quite as anemic as you think. That's a huge chunk of lead. It's moving slow. There's not going to be a lot of recoil. But now, again, if you have this video is about the Ruger New Vaquero. I'm not talking about Colt clones. The Ruger New Vaquero is not a Colt clone. It's not even close. It looks like a Colt. That's where the similarities end. But in this video, I'm not talking about Ubertis. I'm not talking about Piatas. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about the Ruger New Vaquero. This is where you can shoot +P. These two loads right here are +P 45 Colt. They run at a higher pressure than your standard 14,000 PSI loads. This one here is 13, that's a 255 grain Keith style semi-wad cutter with 13.5 grains of blue dot, and that's running, that's close to 19,000 PSI, I'd say. This is an interesting load, and it's one that was recommended to me by Brian Pierce himself. This is 11.4 grains of long shot, which is actually a shotgun powder. Well, blue dot can be too, but it's also listed as a Magnum pistol. That is a 275 grain Hunter Supply cast bullet. I just did a video on how hard they are, because on the box it says SC as in soft cast, but it's surprisingly hard. Now, these two loads are not safe to shoot in a Colt. A 45 Colt, these are not safe for that. They are not safe for Piatas, Great Western Arms, which I think they're out of business. But these are +P loads that are safe in the Ruger New Vaquero. So this is where I don't like saying 45 Colt+P, because what do you mean? If I say 45 ACP plus P, I know what you mean. Or if you say that to me, you say 9mm plus P, I know what that means. If you say 45 Colt+P, I don't know what that means. You could mean 19,000 PSI, you could mean 23,000 PSI, you could mean 37,000 PSI. Which, that's where you're getting into most of, like, the buffalo bore stuff and the grizzly cartridge. That's not safe to shoot. That kind of +P is not safe to shoot in the new Vaquero, but these two +P are. So that's why I don't like saying 45 Colt+P. I like to say tier. So factory load would be tier 1. It's factory standard. These both here would be considered tier 2. Anything over 23,000 PSI would be tier 3. So I would call that, they've been called Ruger only, but then you can't shoot it in a Ruger. So tier 3, you know, your buffalo bore, your Underwood, your grizzly cartridge, your HSM. I'd call that tier 3, unsafe for the new Vaquero. And you can get into tier 4, that you can shoot in Blackhawks, Freedom Arms, or I mean not Blackhawk, Red Hawks. You can get a Super Red Hawk. The Super Red Hawk in 454 Casull is, well, 454 Casull Sammy standard is actually 65,000 PSI, which is like a rifle. So if you're getting in a tier 4 45 Colt load, that's basically 454 Casull. So at that point, maybe you should just get a 454 Casull. But that, well, I'm going to just to show this now. Some of these are since people don't quite believe me, these are 275 grain Hunter Supply cast. This is a +P 23,000 PSI load that I'm going to shoot in the Ruger New Vaquero. It's technically a +P. So this is where, yes, you can. You know, ooh, that whacks that. Ooh, the gong is swinging so hard that I missed. Again. Oh, it flips that gong over. These have... I don't even know how many that is. I think I got one left. That's got some... Whew. Yeah, they're all good to go. I'm going to kick these out. And see, they come right out, most of them. Oh, they're sticking a little bit, but that one's sticking. I think I might have had that one not lined up. That one's sticking too. Just kind of showing there is some powder residue. And that's another thing with 45 Colt. Like with factory loaded stuff, you'll notice a lot of powder burns on the brass. And that's because it, now like this one, not too much. So it sealed up the brass pretty good. Factory load burns because it's such a low pressure that it doesn't seal the brass around the chamber, which is another reason you get low velocities. And it burns back around the brass. But yeah, as you can see, I've been shooting those 23,000 psi loads in this thing. It's fine. This is a fine. Brian Pierce, if you check him out, most people probably know who he is. He's a very well-known gun writer, expert. He's actually done destruction tests on the new Vaquero 45 Colt. And like I said, actually all these tier 2 loads were recommended to me by him. He's got, I'd have to look it up, Handloader magazine, which he wrote for, and I think they're still in print. He probably still writes for them, if they are still in print. You know, I don't know how, you probably couldn't see the recoil on the camera because I'm having to self-film this, but one thing I did want to mention, if you got bigger hands and are like me and have to tuck your pinky finger under the grip frame, this is the XR3 grip frame. The factory stocks that come with the black, you can get it with wood or the black hard rubber, are really narrow and they angle up here. So they angle up like this. And shooting those, there's a lot, those loads that I was just shooting, they got a lot of recoil. I don't know, you probably couldn't see them at this. You probably couldn't see in this video because, again, self-filming, but those factory stocks are really narrow in here. And they bite me a lot more. If you got small enough hands, you know, it's not really that bad. You can get, and surprisingly, I can get, with these simulated ivory stocks, I can get all my fingers around it, but I guess it ain't, my fingers are long, so I'm just about on that first joint, and that makes me inaccurate. So the way I like to hold it is like this, but these are, oh shoot, I forgot the name of who made these. This is a, not all simulation ivory stocks are equal. Some are just very cheap plastic. Some, like this, are, I forget the actual material that they're made out of, but it has the same weight and feel and pretty grain structure of real elephant ivory. Elmer Keith actually said that the best grip material for the Colt single action was ivory, elephant ivory. Well, you can't get elephant ivory anymore. You can, I think you can get mammoth ivory, like fossilized ivory. Dude, don't quote me on this. What do you call them things? Walrus. You might be able to, but then that's really expensive. That might be illegal too. So real ivory is almost impossible to get, and it's terribly expensive. But there are some good simulation ivory out there. I'm kind of sad that I forgot who made these. But you know, a good pair is going to run you about $100 to $150 for a good set of simulated ivory stocks. But what I like about these is they're flat across the bottom of the grip frame, and they're a little wider, so it feels much better in my hand, and doesn't beat me up quite as bad with these heavy hand loads. Whoa, that was a big horsefly. So yeah, if you got big hands, you know, stocks that are flat across the bottom, not angled up, and that are a little bit wider, like these, feel much better in your hand than your standard hard rubber factory loads. So, yeah, that will be today's video. It got long. I guess I had a lot of information I wanted to get out there. So hopefully this answered the question of 45 Colt+P in the Ruger new Vaquero. If you have any doubt at all, if you're not a hand loader, I'd stick with standard pressure. If you are an experienced hand loader, then you probably already knew this, but everything I just said. But again, hopefully this answered the question. If you're still not convinced, okay, there's nothing I can do. But that'll be today's video. That'll be, I guess I was going to try to say some more stuff, but I don't have anything else to say. Again, if I didn't convince you, I probably won't. But yeah, that's all I got for today. I'm Pete Refshaw with Refshaw Outdoors, and keep your powder dry.